Yo, what up, everybody? It's Crypto Oki. Today's January 30th. Let's go. All right, today we're going to look at four cryptocurrencies. We're just going to kind of look at them in the order that they're pumping today. Oh, ETH is really doing well today. But we're going to talk about some of the altcoins. Maybe we'll get into ETH and Bitcoin, but for Bitcoin, there's better people to listen to than me, so I'd kind of stay away from that. As far as analyzing goes. All right, let's look at Litecoin here. This is a monthly chart. We have a beautiful symmetrical triangle going on here from the 2017 high. So this is December of 2017. This is 85 months. So, I mean, I can't even, what is that from 2001? What is it, 17? We're at 2025. So over 7 years, it has not broken out. So that is something to keep in mind. I'm anticipating it breaking out just based on the overall market and we'll get into its strength against relative to Bitcoin and XRP breaking out of its triangle. So I'm a fan here of Litecoin. As far as the monthly goes, just with this kind of target, if we have a symmetrical, this is calling for a $393 rise. We could put that, if it happens later, in a few months, let's just call it from about this breaking out from this 150 level. If it breaks out from the 150 level, did I say 323? We're looking, let me do that again, sorry. So we have a $393 rise I'm expecting. 393, which puts us about at the 540 level. So my initial target for Litecoin is $540. That's the first target. I expect it to go much higher, but following some classical charting principles, it needs to be respected. Now we can also, if we break out of this and we kind of come up to this $270 range, will also form kind of a more of an ascending triangle, where we could put, I think it kind of comes out to about the same, to be honest, 277. So that goes a little higher, and we could even if we put it from here, from the high of the 2021. This would give us a little more of a target, 3D7. So we're looking at, 790 range, $800 range, which I also anticipate happening, because most crypto, once I guess this did not break the all-time high, but once we get to an all-time high, it usually doubles or triples in price. Very rarely do you see it barely break above. So yeah, my first target is about 540. Then I have a target right around $800. And then if we're just kind of looking at this price, what was the all-time high? We got all-time high of 420. So and then I put I think it'll double. I think it'll triple from that price. So I have a target of about 1,100. So these are kind of my price levels, about 540, 790, let's call it 1,100. And then kind of my high is about 4,000, because I think we could go up to 4,000 and crash about 85 to 90% and possibly stay above this previous all-time high. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here for Litecoin. Again, we don't have the break yet, so it's not like I'm expecting this as imminently as XRP and even Stellar. But I do like Litecoin, and I feel like it's at a relatively good position too. I don't feel like you're too late, and I'd like to definitely see us stay above the 113, which we will, because it's what the monthly closes next tomorrow. So this is looking good. We need more upside, of course, and I think we'll see that. So now let's go into the weekly. And the weekly's looking pretty beautiful as well. There's the 200-week moving average and the 20-week moving average, which is coming up. They're about to cross. This is looking good, having a great week. So maybe we, stay in this, form a little bit of a flag before going higher. That's kind of what I'm looking for with Litecoin. Of course, it's having a great day. Really pumped overnight. Here we kind of have a little bit of a inverse head and shoulders, whatever. I expect us to form some sort of, or even a symmetrical arena, ascending triangle kind of action as well. So we'll keep an eye on that, but I like this, something like that. So it could really break out higher soon. I like that. I need to get actually a decent trader. Should look at that. Pull that up. So yeah, well above the 200-day moving average, which is great. Today above the 20. Looking at the 4-hour, we had a nice little test of the 4-hour 200 moving average and moving up nicely. So Litecoin's looking good. Let's look at it versus Bitcoin. So that's with the 4 cryptos that these are my 4 favorite because they look good against Bitcoin, in my opinion. So here we have the weekly. The daily is what's got me the most excited here. We have the 200-day moving average, which it has respected for, a long time. And when it does break out, it usually goes up quite a bit. So we had an initial break of the 200. We've tested it. And just yesterday, kind of bouncing off it. So we got to, let's see if we can kind of get above this. And I like how it's turning, it's flattening, and I expect this to trend upwards. Looking at the order book, so, just a little bit of selling today. This is a 15-minute chart, so it's nothing really to worry about. And against Bitcoin, yeah. So, you can see that when it's at lower levels, it's getting bought up. So pretty excited about that. I think Litecoin is definitely a favorite to do well in 2025. So I guess that's really what I got to say about that. I should go to Decent Trader real quick. I like to look at this too. It shows you the liquidity that it has to get through. And as you can see here, once we get above this 160, it looks like we have, in the 150 range, we have some resistance here. But once we get above the 160, there's not much. And then, once we're above 180, 190, 200, there's no stopping this. And that's when I expect us to hit some of these targets that I'm talking about. So that's great. All right, let's move on to Stellar. Stellar kind of is having a great day out of nowhere, kind of. Let's go back to the monthly. Now, here we have a pretty clear resistance at the 50-cent range. I expect this to take a few months before breaking, but this is pretty beautiful. you have a ascending triangle, you have a double bottom, kind of whatever you want to call it. And if we take kind of like the minimum, 50 cents. So I have a minimum target of $1.10 to start. Again, I think it's going to go higher, but that's a good start. If we take it from here for a double bottom kind of action, 77 cents. Next, we have 150. We had the 150 range, that would be like absolute minimum. I think we're going to go to, so $1, that's 100%, 200% at 150. And then again, if you're thinking, okay, it looks like the all-time high was about 93 cents. I do expect us to double or triple that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get to the high single digit range. $4 probably is pretty safe, all the way up to 10 is where, because it's leading the market and whatnot. That's kind of my thought there. We look at the weekly. Yeah, I mean, I like this kind of little pullback. It's not exciting yet to the upside, but it's nothing to be concerned about either. We're holding this. The 20 is rising. 20 week is rising. Great. That's really nice to see. 200 is, it's going to take a while for this thing to turn up, but we're so far above it that's great. Probably will test the 20 week at some point. Hopefully it's higher, but I love the slope. Even if we came down, because it's sloping up so high, I would expect it to bounce pretty significantly. And so weekly, I mean, it's looking good. Daily, again, we have a great day, but we are below the 20-day moving average. So, we need to put a couple days, I would be surprised if it closed above today. We'd need it to close tomorrow and into February above this. But this is consolidation at the top. I like it. It's not as good as we could come back to test this channel kind of action, something like this. With the 200, I don't know if it will make it down to that. Breaking here, going higher, but I like this kind of action. I guess I think more of a rectangular sideways action is kind of how I describe that. But I like that to break higher eventually. The longer the better, to be honest, especially if this 200-day catches up, it'll catch up, into February. So that's looking good. Again, it has some of these big days just because it's a little more volatile than Ripple, but it's essentially the same as Ripple, but hasn't been performing as well. 4 hour. Okay, we're just getting back above, looking to make a second close above the 200. It's sloping up, so breaking this trend line, going higher. So Stellar's looking pretty good. So I'm definitely optimistic about its price here going into this year. Let's go to XLM Bitcoin. So here's XLM versus Bitcoin. We broke the 200 week moving average from a very low point. So I'm not expecting it to kind of, I don't know. I mean, I would be surprised if it gets a lot higher here. I don't know if we make another kind of cup and handle, which could happen. I don't know. There's a lot, and I'll look at the order book for Stellar. Stellar the order book just looks absolutely insanely bullish. That has me thinking something big could happen here. And it's could be like a magical kind of crypto, this bull run that kind of is a little bit unexpected that the charts don't necessarily match up with, but that just does. Because if it does form some sort of a cup and hand, a head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders, it's going to be such a high target that maybe, it really performs well. So if it could get some closes above this 200, that'd be pretty interesting, because in late November, it had that crazy run up. Hasn't been able to close above the 200. 20's coming up, so I like it here. I'll be interested to see what happens, but some closes above the 200 week moving average against Bitcoin would be very interesting. And again, above the 200, and see, this is why it's so important to get above this 200-day moving average against Bitcoin. It's really the fuel for any rockets, for any moon. I mean, it tested it here November 15th, and then you see what happens. So, going back to Litecoin versus Bitcoin, that was the same time period or a little after. But once you turn this into support, the 200-day moving average, you can really climb high. Not really necessarily. So it's below the 200 against 204-hour against Bitcoin right now. So again, I like it. I'm not expecting anything too imminent, but it's looking good. Let's go to the order book that I'm talking about. And it's just absolutely been on fire, getting bought up here almost every day. So I think something's happening here, and I really like it. And so that's kind of what's also, if I ever get a little bit, XRP is doing much better, which it is, I kind of look at this and go, you know what, I got to respect all this buying, and something's happening here. Against Bitcoin also has a lot of green, but this is kind of like a later, I don't put this indicator at the top, but it's something to think about. Let's look up. And I think, XLM and Ripple are so far above their resistance that they could really do a lot of damage to the upside. Yeah, 50 cents, like we saw, that's the big resistance. And, there's getting more sellers here. So, got to take out that 50-cent range to 60 cents, and it should climb high pretty quickly. On the downside, the worst, you're getting into the high 30s. So keep an eye on that, but looks good. All right, now kind of the opposite chart here. We got Monero. So Monero kind of has the opposite of Litecoin. I absolutely love this chart. Let me take some of this stuff. Having another great month, and just going above this consolidation area looks amazing. So here's one where actually you did have a higher high in 2021, and it wasn't much higher. So, and then it went down, only went 10% above its previous high. So that's something to note. But that's rarely the case. You usually see, like, if you see Litecoin, Stellar, Ripple, Litecoin came close, but they didn't make new highs. And so I like that. So what I'm saying, I guess, is that usually when they do make new highs, they usually make significant new highs. And Monero's an exception. Monthly looks fantastic. Some of the targets here. I expect us to easily come up to the $400 range. And then if you put on some sort of you're getting, it's very interesting too, that it didn't have much of a pullback. What was the drop down? 81%, which again, that's great. In the 2021 bull run, it was very important. If the cryptocurrency had less than a 93% drawdown, it had a much higher chance of making all-time highs. So I think we can apply some sort of similar logic to, if you had less than a 90% drawdown, you have a much higher chance of making a new all-time high. So like that. It's not even anywhere close to like any sort of like double bottom type pattern. But, if you put a kind of some sort of, again, ascending triangle, 3 to 5, $800. I think $800 is a good, reasonable target. That would be double that. So, and then I mean, at the end of it, I would love to see it get into the thousands, 1,500, 4,000. I don't know. I think this thing could really climb. It was having a great day. Well, let's look at the weekly first. So again, we've had it's been very interesting here because that's now like in early December, we had this great month. Then we had a month where we went all the way back down, retraced the entire candle, and then came up and closed at the top. Then the next week was kind of a dud, also came back down, tested the 20, kind of closed in the middle. And then we had 4 weeks of just like slightly inching up. Last week was great. This week is looking pretty good. The 20 is crossing the 200. So this is all excellent. Looking at the daily, this is crazy. And I'll show you, I mean, yeah, last night went to bed. I think it was like pumping to 34, 40. And this thing has kind of been frustrating. I mean, look at it. It just wants to go up. And it's the order book that has saved me in a way from not just being uber bullish here, but the order book has just been awful. Look at all this selling within these last weeks. I mean, as it's making not new highs, but it's going up. And it just seems like it wants to keep going up. It's not having huge pullbacks as some of the other participants in the market. And then there it is last night. So you're getting this kind of slight parabolic run last night, but you just had all this selling that's been happening. So we'll see if that can subside. It's nice to see that it did subside a little over here, but it's just kind of annoying. I don't know if it's just with some of the getting taken off the market, by certain exchanges. I don't know what's going on here. It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of the opposite of stellar. It's keeping me cautious. It's definitely keeping me cautious. Here's the perpetual contract. See, I just don't understand I don't understand what's going on here. The chart to me looks great, but this is keeping me a little bit cautious, and for good reason, because again, it's like, okay, we're going to bust out of this, and then bam. I mean, this candle's kind of looking ugly. A lot of time left today. I think it's going to be fine. I mean, even so, this is a pretty decent candle. But it's just like, come on. I don't know who's selling, what needs to get out of the way, but it's definitely going up. It's just just with a lot of other cryptos, once they kind of have their breakout, they can really pump. And this one's just breaking out a little bit, coming back down, breaking out. It's not breaking down. So, you want to see it stay above this kind of trend line, which now kind of coincides with the 400 or the 200 moving average of the 4-hour. So you're getting these tops and then bam, back down, top, bam, smack down, new top, bam, smack down, new top. I mean, maybe that, that's that. I haven't been too worried about them yet. because we haven't closed below anything that made me bearish. I've, been on guard a few times. I mean, while I like the structure of this, I don't love that it has so many touches of this ascending trend line. And just not being able to break out, It's tough. It's tough. It's like, why? That's why. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. So you have some, you don't want, you'd rather not break down. Maybe come back, touch this, but I kind of, the ultimate line on the sand here is this big candle. If we come below the 156, the 155 level, I'm not going to be happy about that. I can tell you. So hopefully we can get it. Monero can get its shit together. Again, I think it has to do with just being delisted from exchanges. I don't know. I don't know. Can't explain it, but it's kind of saving me from getting too bullish here. I mean, it was just looking great, and then we smacked down. So we'll keep an eye on Monero there. I still like it, but for that reason that I'm most cautious. All right. For the one and only, and here you go. If you want to look at, what I expect of Litecoin, I expect something like this to happen. So we're in the breakout, has been confirmed. I mean, we could possibly close this month at an all-time high. I mean, it'll be the highest closing month. Again, for the second straight month. So this is looking extremely bullish here on the monthly. As if Bitcoin can kind of get higher, I mean, I don't see why Ripple would not continue to lead the market. There's absolutely no resistance up higher. We could definitely come, pull back, but I would not see much of a trouble. I mean, we could, and I think we'll hold the $2 level. So that's looking great. Here's the weekly. So again, versus, XLM's kind of pulling back down. Ripple has continued to go higher. We had a little bit of a pullback the other day, going higher. So obviously I like it. Kind of would have liked, maybe you would have liked to see some sort of a pattern here, but pull back higher, just so it can gain some strength, gain some legs. Holding the 20-day very strong. There was that dump day, and then it even was green. So, I mean, Ripple's kind of at a, with that, once the SEC drops the case, I mean, this thing's could just go up higher anytime, kind of in a no man's land, as in it could just pump because it's got all the momentum. It could just pump at any time. I love that the dip was bought up. 200 is down here. This will continue to go higher. Let's look at it against Bitcoin. This looks beautiful against Bitcoin, which is hard to, that's why these cryptos, again, these are really only the four, and then I'll throw Solana in there. Although I don't have a great beat on Solana, so I don't really trade it too much. They're really the only 4 or 5 cryptos I would even consider over Bitcoin. I mean, Ethereum, it's like, when is it going to make a move? But these are the only 4 out of 5 that I think are, worth possibly risking for gains over Bitcoin. Because again, the questions you got to always ask you, I love the question you got to ask yourself is how can you beat Bitcoin? Why would you put your money into another cryptocurrency over Bitcoin when Bitcoin has to go up for your crypto to go up, essentially, first of all. And then you're saying you can beat Bitcoin in the crypto realm, which is hard. So, and then looking here, I mean, we're above the 200. The 200 is actually sloping up. The 20 just crossed the 200. I mean, this thing looks absolutely beautiful. Well above the 200. Again, once you cross that and you can make the 200 into support against Bitcoin, it can really, really go up pretty high. Let's go back real quick, sorry, to Monero versus Bitcoin. It's pretty interesting. Possibly some sort of, I mean, I know it's a significantly lower bottom, but some sort of double bottom kind of pattern. And then you have this ascending triangle. The only thing is, yeah, I don't love that it has all these touches on the bottom. I mean, if this thing falls, I would expect it to fall pretty significantly. And I guess I'm just 50-50. I don't know what's going to happen. That's kind of interesting. I did not see that we essentially touched the 200-day moving average. So again, if we start closing above this, I'm very bullish, especially if we can get above this green line that I drew in here. But any sort of close below this trend line would be pretty, I would not love that. I mean, you could kind of stretch this out a little, to be like something like that, but which would be a little safer, actually. Kind of like that better, actually. But I don't want to see us close anything below here on the daily. All right, back to XRP against in the order book. So yeah, having some selling at this level. So not expecting too much. I don't think it's anything to worry about, especially since against Bitcoin, it's looking like it's doing pretty well. So I guess that's really, let's look at it on the liquidity map. So yeah, not much resistance overhead. Looks like 3.4 to 3.7 will be a little bit of testing it before going higher. For a second, which would be like that area. All right, let's look at ETH here. Some people are kind of ready. It's like, when is this thing ready to outperform Bitcoin? And the answer has been not yet. I know a lot of people are looking at some sort of inverse head and shoulder action here, where we have left head, right shoulder forming, which could happen. So here would be kind of the breakout, the break of this downtrend is what we're looking for. Here's on the 4-hour. Looks pretty good here. And it coincides with the 200 moving average on the 4-hour. So, if we get above this 350, maybe it starts to appreciate against Bitcoin. Having a good day. It's done that before, but it, again, this looks like shit against Bitcoin. I mean, it had this crazy descending line that it was respecting, descending channel. And then it broke down, the bottom just has fallen out. So, I mean, it's like, when will it happen? So far, the signs point to not yet. We're not even above the 20-day moving average. There's the 200. This is going to take a while. If we looked at those other cryptocurrencies, it went to touch it. It took a long time for it to turn into support. So ETH is not looking good. I mean, you want to give it the benefit of the doubt just because it has had such a great history. It outperformed Bitcoin. I mean, it did well against Bitcoin in 2021. I mean, it's a darling, but it looks like Solana truly was the ETH killer. It seems. It really seems like it. So, I mean, you want to think it can do it, and you want to be exposed to ETH because ETH can do what it does, but it's just the signs are not there. The signs are not there. Let's just look at Solana versus Bitcoin. Oops. Solana is the ETH killer. I'm gonna have to admit it. But this is Solana versus Bitcoin. I mean, this is a pretty bullish chart, especially if we're going back to Ethereum versus Bitcoin. It's just way better. Trump launched his coin on Solana. Again, I'm not a huge fan of it. I've not had a great beat on the price, so I don't trade it. But I think you have to respect it. Could this have been the Trump coin was the end of the Solana run? Maybe. That'd be great. Not a huge fan, but it is what it is. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Peace. CryptoOkie out. Let's go.